We're live. We're gonna try this one more time. Same story. We on like the seventh video. Just get one story out. So I was at the point of the fact that I didn't even get to tell the police the story of why I called them until after they had already made the choice to trespass me from Panera. So I want to get into the story of why I called them, not necessarily what happened once they showed up at Panera, because that's history now. And actually, on the YouTube videos, I explained a year ago why I called them. But just for the sake of this blog, I'm going to get into that real quick. So, when I pulled up to Panera that day, this is before I called the police, there's a guy gesturing at me in this like menacing way. His body language is just menacing. He's 20 feet away as I pull into my spot, but I notice him gesturing at me with this like menacing body language, and it looks like he's mouthing off curse words. So this would not have been a problem if A, he wasn't looking directly at me, and B, if not the same guy that is there with these gestures, these menacing gestures at me. I was already suspicious of this particular dude. Not that I know him for a long time in Oviedo, but I happened to have been in Panera the day before on whatever it was, a Sunday or something. And the day where I'm calling the police here is like a Monday or Tuesday. Like within days of this, just like 1 or 2 days before this Panera incident where I call the police, okay, over an incident, or to, just check out this dude, like see what is this dude about, okay, because of this menacing like body language and gestures. The same dude I'm calling them about, I wouldn't have done it. Part B of why I called is a day or two before I'm in Panera online and this dude brushes up against me. The same dude that 2 days before brushed up against me, okay, is now the dude that's like throwing this body language and gestures and mouthing off apparent curse words to me from 20 feet away. He's looking directly at me, so I can only imagine it was for me. And I had not like pulled into the parking spot reckless where he'd be like a disgruntled like old man or some shit, like, while ape shit, because of how I pulled in on some ape shit way. No, I pulled in calmly, and all of a sudden I just happened to look up, and this guy's gesturing at me like I'm like not sure I should get out of the car. So like I call the police, and it's a combination because the same gentleman who I recognized because I took note of him 2 days before when he brushed into me while I was standing at the line. I had my back turned. I had noticed him at the back of this Panera line. It was a long line. He was at the back of it. I get to the front of it. And all of a sudden, like, he's now up at the front of the line with me when he was just at the back of the line. I'm like, this is very contrived. And he brushed into me. I'm like, he stick me with something, I'm thinking. So I left Panera and went and took note of his license plate. Okay, I didn't call the police that day, just as an example of I don't jump to conclusions even when someone physically had brushed into me. Like I gave the dude the benefit of the doubt. It was crowded. He brushed into me, although it was suspicious. So I went out, took a better note of like what does he look like, what's his face look like, and saw what car he got into and took note of his license plate for the sake of if I ever saw him around town on like he was felt like he's a follower, like spying on me, invading my privacy type shit, I would recognize his license plate. Well, sure enough, 2 days later, here he is, the same car, same license plate, and the same dude, because I remember, because face recognition, I took note of his face the day he brushed into me. So, like, I called the police, like, just, let's check this guy out, and I'm going to tell the police the story about how a day before he brushed into me and the menacing body language on this day. But again, as the first parts of the blogs discuss. 3 people tuned in. Thank you guys. John Rhines, what's up, my homie? So, the first, I wanted to get into that with them. Not necessarily that he even did anything to me on this day, but he did brush into me that day. I found that suspicious, but I just sat on it. And sure enough, just 2 days later, the same dude is with this menacing shit at me. So this is where I'm like, I'm not taking any chances. Rather than have an altercation, or maybe I'm getting set up. Maybe someone's trying to set me up. And this is the guy, the pawn, to cause the altercation so that I then, he calls the police. Or Panera calls the police. So I beat the system. At least I was trying to. I called the police. I wanted to be the one to call the police, stay out of trouble, keep my hands clean, and have this guy checked out. Well, again, as you now know, the rest is history. Okay, the police never got into my story until after they trespassed me. I never got to tell them really until after they trespassed me that this guy had brushed into me just the day before, and about the menacing body language. Because as soon as they heard mental illness, they jumped to conclusions, gave integrity to the wrong people, meaning the Panera manager, Panera staff, and I got trespassed. And again, that trespass got lifted because once they finally got to talk to me, okay, on better circumstances, they realized, okay, I put in perspective that whatever Panera's complaints about me, which had nothing to do with the incident with this guy, okay, really was bogus, because I'm not a bad customer. Just because I might have complained 10 or 20 times, that's going to happen. It's a system, bro. Yes, Josh. Unfortunately, I agree. So basically, what happened at Panera, it's just it is sad that they formulated an opinion based on me being a bad customer, when in reality, 20 complaints out of 1,000 transactions doesn't mean I'm a bad customer. I'm actually a very high volume customer and a good customer that hates to complain. But they were on, Panera staff and manager was on their own shit. The police officer was on his bias. Panera had their bias against me. The officer meets with the Panera guy. We got 2 guys with bias against me, and no one heard my story, all because mental illness casted the judgment on me. So that's that. And now we've gotten into the story of why I actually called the police that day. But just note, I called them. Panera did not call them on me. This other guy did not call them on me. I was trying to be proactive, realizing that with the same way the mental illness had been a bias when I am the one calling the police. Imagine if this guy that's gesturing at me, who brushed in to me the day before, had been the one to call the police. And then the police are like, I got to defend myself. And then the police are like, well, it seems like you have mental illness on record. I'm really guilty. The only thing that saved me is I played chess with this rigged system, guys. Josh, this system is rigged. It is the system, and it's rigged, and I played chess with it, and the only reason why I didn't get hauled off that day is because I thought quick, and I was the one that called them. That was like my only saving grace. And even doing that, being the guy calling to the police, I got trespassed. But now you know why I called them. So that's the first example I want to give about Oviedo Police and Seminole County Sheriff. The next one, I'll just kind of segue from this story. The same officer one of the 2 officers that handled this Panera incident, the guy that told me I'm now being video recorded on body cam, I have now seen him several times, one location being the racetrack in Oviedo, the gas station. And every fucking time I see him, he's like real snob, like nose up, not like, hey, sir, how you doing? He's got like a sour taste in his mouth. I don't know if he's pissed that I got the trespass lifted, and he would have wished that it had stayed for all that effort. After all, the police were the one that suggested the trespass. So maybe that like made them look bad, that they trespassed me, suggested a trespass, and it ultimately got lifted, makes them look bad. So now dude's got a sour taste. Maybe from me just opening up and exposing myself that I have mental illness, maybe there is now definitely an ongoing bias. But this particular police officer, it almost seems like he's setting his body cam, the video cam that they wear on their bodies, on their uniforms. It seems like he's turning it on every time he sees me. Rather than be nice and say, hey, what's up? Yeah, I remember you. Things going better. No, he's real nose up. And it looks like he's viewing me as, yet again, a problem case, to the point where he never knows when I'm going to be getting set off. So if he's around, he's got the cam on me. At least that's what it looks like. Or on some real bullshit flexing the muscle shit like, oh, Mr. Officer with the body cam, I can videotape you, you just can't videotape me. Bullshit. Nah, fuck that. So that's story 2. We'll just segue into that because it was that same officer was at the Panera incident. What about click it or ticket? Now, you know I've been basically living in a box or a bubble, which means I don't leave the house that much. Okay, which also then means I'm not driving my vehicle too much. Well, I don't get many driving tickets, thankfully, due to the fact that I'm not on the road that much. But in a 2-month span, I get 2 tickets under the click it or ticket policy or campaign they have for people wearing seatbelts. Guess where they got me for this no seatbelt? Under the click it ticket campaign. 2 seconds from my house in my neighborhood. Basically, if you want like the vicinity in between my neighborhood and where the Panera is. Because again, I go to Panera for convenience. It's like a 30-second radius. Okay, so I leave one day and I literally get to the stop sign and turn right, and boom, I get stopped. Officer, do I know why you stopping me? I don't know. I run the stop sign? No. No seatbelt, and we're on a 0 tolerance for click a ticket. Okay. So I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. I should have been. I mean, I'm only in my car for 30 seconds. I haven't really even left the parking lot. You're giving me a ticket in my neighborhood as I attempt to leave my bubble and box that I've been living in and actually drive my car, put some miles on it. Okay, but I can't even put the miles on it. I can't even get out of the parking lot without Oviedo police giving me a ticket under click it or ticket seatbelt policies. But okay, you know, the first time, that's fine. It happened, by the way, to be on April Fool's Day, of all ironic things. Either a month or 2 later, I get stopped again, click it or ticket. The same fucking officer. Are you fucking kidding me? The same officer who recognizes and remembers that he gave me the ticket for click it or tickets, no seatbelt, the first time, just a month ago. He remembers me. I'm like, well, listen, you know you just gave me a seatbelt for the ticket for the same thing. Can you maybe cut me a break this time? No. 0 tolerance. He can't do that. Where was I this time? I left the neighborhood, just the other entrance. Instead of being closer to the vicinity of in between my neighborhood and Panera, that 30-second distance from where I left my parking spot at my residence, I went out the other end because I wanted to go to the post office and once again get out of my box and bubble and maybe take care of some errands and mail some packages at the post office. Literally the second I turn out of the neighborhood, just a different entrance or exit of the neighborhood, same cop stops me for the same thing. We're talking a 2-month time span. So here, I actually want to rely and respect the police, rely upon them, that they will serve and protect the community as they vow. That as a good citizen or pillar of a citizen, I can call upon them as they're doing these duties, and we will work as a team. But Panera incident proved to me that that's actually a fallacy. That's not true. And now I'm left with a sour taste because when I'm not reaching out to them for help, They're actually the enemy giving me a ticket as I'm trying to exit my bubble and box that I'm living in. Maybe Oviedo police is putting me in this box and bubble because it seems apparent that when I was cruising around in that Escalade when I had it, okay, that I'm a target. Because I guarantee you, if I was wearing a short skirt and was a female with a juicy pussy and some fucking double D breasts, she would have sweet talked her way out. And you want to know how I know this? Because my girlfriend got stopped for the same shit I did, and she got a free pass. She didn't get a ticket. But fucking ugly ass 36-year-old Tank Lip, I can't offer that cop no pussy, and I'm driving an Escalade, which is probably nicer than whatever his regular vehicle, separate of his police car. Okay, and I get fucked twice for the same thing, and both times combined, I probably didn't even do a quarter of a mile distance because I basically got to each exit of my neighborhood and bam, they click it or ticket me. Well, I hadn't clicked it, so I got the ticket. Fuck you guys. Let's get to Seminole County Sheriff. What about the time when I was living at my old house? Okay, that's some blurry shit on the camera. I don't know if you guys can see the blurry shit. It seems like all of a sudden the camera's not. See, I got more interference. If the Facebook video is not glitching, now I got fucking, like, it's look like this fog. I have karate chop this fog away? Where's the, how come you can't ninja chop the fog? Is this my camera lens? This guy has some shit? 2 seconds ago, we didn't have, oh, there we go, a little bit. Still blurry, though. We're going to have to end this soon. So I'm at the old house. Call Seminole County. Okay, for whatever suspicious shit it was. Honestly, I used to call for so much suspicious shit. And they were good for shit, just as Oviedo Police was good for shit. So eventually I stopped calling them. But there was a campaign, and at one point, it was my Tank Lip campaign. And I was on the horn with them all the time, calling shit in. So I guess, you know, just like mental illness and them knowing that about me forms the bias. After a while, you become pegged as the crazy guy that's calling in, regardless of your mental illness. They just don't want to be bothered with you once they determine once or twice that, you know, it's like a false call. If they determine your call was like on some clown shit, the third time they definitely give you a once, twice, but like 3 strikes you out. So maybe this time was like on some 3 strikes you out shit. So the officer doesn't even get into my story. He says the police chief, who's his supervisor, has authorized him to check to see if I'm taking my meds. So literally wants to come into my house and I have to provide my medicine bottle so he could see that my name is on it, that I'm taking. Like, what fucking business do they have to know what medicine I'm taking for my mental illness? Let alone, what if I had been prescribed it 6 months ago and my psychiatrist is now determined I no longer need that medicine. So maybe they have on file that I'm supposed to be taking this, you know, this medicine or this medicine. And my doctor, who's really in charge of my mental health care, has decided I can discontinue that. And maybe I no longer could supply him with that bottle to show that I still have it stocked in the house to, you know, create at least be able to present a reasonable case that I'm taking the meds that the police are saying I'm supposed to be taking. The police chief wants to see if you have the meds you're supposed to be taking. Which now, once again, I'm under the gun and the pressure. So I haven't even gotten in my story, and now I'm worried with, first of all, I'm annoyed that I should have to let an officer in my house. I should be able to talk to him at my front door without letting him in. Comes into my bedroom and checks my medicine bottle. Listen, I have conspiracy theories that people poison my meds. Do you think with my OCD, I want your fucking dirty officer hands? Who knows what fucking dirty ass bitch you put in your backseat earlier in the day, and your hands are contaminated, and now I want you touching my medicine bottle or the pills? Like, I'm annoyed with my OCD that I should have to feel contaminated because your dirty hands are going to be on it, let alone how ludicrous it is that as what I just stated, I could have discontinued a medicine. So what if I couldn't provide you with that bottle of a medicine you think I'm supposed to be taking? Your chief now has the authorization or the jurisdiction to Baker Act tell you could haul me away. Okay, I'm calling you guys for complaints in my neighborhood, and you're flipping the script on me once again before I get in my story. So these are just several different accounts of the police being good for shit. Yet I was the guy. Obviously, I had a great respect for the police if I was the pillar citizen calling upon them. If I'm calling upon you, police, that means I respect you. I respect you as people that serve our community, that help us in our moments of need, that patrol us and keep us safe. Yet, in numerous occasions that I'm interacting with you, you prove to be more my enemy, in a sense, than the people I'm calling in and complaining about, the culprits out there. So, it's just bullshit. Anyway, I've been blogging all day just to get this one blog out, and it's taken like 8 videos, so I'm going to be done for now. Peace. Tank Lip. Go watch some YouTube, Tank Lip. I got 580 plus Tank Lip videos on YouTube, please. And Josh, I'll read your comments. I just got to get off this thing. All right, much love, buddy.